Let's start by discussing the fact that this is such a crowded field. What about this cacophony? What about this madness would entice you to throw your hat into the ring?
So I think I'm about the 300th candidate to announce my intention to run for governor of the state. And you're awfully right. It does become quite a crowded field, and it has been a very interesting couple of months traveling all around the state and bringing our message of change out to everybody. I think when it comes down to it, though, bottom line, people are looking for something different, and they're looking for a different type of candidate and looking for someone that may not fit all the traditional molds. And that candidate is me, and I certainly believe in my vision for the future of the state, and also understand that if we really truly want to change the direction that we're going in, we have to change the type of people that we send there. I made the decision to run late, and I know that was criticized a little bit. However, I had to ensure that a Republican was still elected in a city like New Britain. I've been mayor here for 5 years now. I'm very proud of the work that I've been able to accomplish. But with what we've seen and the tides that we've been seeing lately with Democrats kind of coming in and winning many offices, winning as a Republican is not as easy, especially in the state of Connecticut.
Mayor Stewart, this is an interesting state. This state used to be the envy of New England. It's not so much anymore. Why is that?
Well, why? I think that we fulfill our own I'll say thoughts that Connecticut is not a great place to be when we're not talking positively about anything that we have to offer. But in our reality, we have the world to offer without the, I'll say, craziness of New York or Boston. We're situated dead smack in the middle of New York City and Boston, two huge areas that are booming with development, but yet us in the middle, we provide a quality of life and a type of, I suppose, peacefulness to life that allows you to relax but also still be close by. One of the things that I think is disappointing is that we don't spend enough time talking about the good that the state can offer. But we also have to empower our leaders to make better decisions that really showcase all of Connecticut's greatness.
And Connecticut's greatness, and listen, we're broadcasting from Bridgeport today. Here's a city that is ready to show the world its greatness. But, in theory, that's one thing, but in practice is another. Why are businesses leaving? Why are we seeing the numbers that we're seeing? Why is perception about Connecticut the way it is right now?
And I think that all comes down to a lack of leadership when it comes to our business climate and our business community. Now, the rest of the country is succeeding incredibly with, the boom to the economy that we're seeing. But for some reason, Connecticut is still falling behind. We're not capitalizing in other ways that Massachusetts and Rhode Island and New York are. And naturally, businesses are looking to move elsewhere. When you look at, many of the taxes that we institute on just business taxes in general. Oftentimes, they're too high compared to our neighboring states. And we have to look at creating an environment where businesses can grow and thrive. And we're not trying to tax them on something every time we turn around. There's so many policies that are going back and forth in the legislature right now, too, that are not business-friendly policies. And oftentimes, I think that happens because our legislators don't understand what it's like to be a small business owner in the state or, really understand the struggles that we go through with trying to keep people employed and make money. One of the things that I did when I became mayor of New Britain, looking at a city where we are 98% developed, trying to figure out creative ways to grow our business climate and our markets here. We came up with a simple idea called an economic development toolbox. And every developer that we reached out to, we gave them this 30-some-odd page document that said, here's all the opportunities that are available to you, whether it's a small business loan program or a tax deferral if they had a development that was big enough. Things that are enticing for developers to want to take advantage of. And I think unless we start doing that on a statewide level and really empowering our towns and our cities to do this as well, we're going to continue to see this drain of business out.
Now, I want to talk more about your experience in New Britain and how that applies to the rest of the state in just a moment, but we're also broadcasting, and again, the Tale of Two Cities here, the Tale of Two States, we're broadcasting in Greenwich as well. And oftentimes, the Greenwich delegation in the legislature and residents, taxpayers in Greenwich, feel that they are taken for granted. How important is a town like Greenwich to the wholeness of Connecticut?
Oh, goodness. Well, I think oftentimes people, always make the joke that Greenwich is New York, right? But what we fail to realize is how important Greenwich is to the entire state, especially when you're seeing a lot of our wealth come from that area. It's not something to be ignored in the delegation. Often, they have the longest drive up to the state capitol, but yet they're there and they do an absolutely incredible job representing the needs of Fairfield County and of Greenwich in the state. We have to listen to them. And whether we like to admit it or not, there's a reason why a lot of wealthy individuals are leaving the state of Connecticut, and we're seeing that we're seeing the effects of that with the amount of taxes that we are not collecting from individuals that were paying millions of dollars into our general funds before. I think the success of Greenwich and the communities in Fairfield County is imperative to the continued success of our state as a whole, and we need to start taking some advice on some of the policies that we need to be putting in place in order to ensure that we're keeping these residents here.
We're speaking with New Britain Mayor Erin Stewart. You announced your candidacy about, 2 months ago?
It was just about 2 months ago.
Okay.
Well, March 19th was when we were in officially, and it was the first week of February that I filed my exploratory committee.
So now the convention is just a short time away. What is the game plan for Team Stewart?
It's about 25 days, but who's counting, right? May 11th, May 12th is the convention, so we are working really hard right now, not only raising the necessary funds to qualify for the Citizens Election Program, but more importantly, calling delegates. The goal here is to get 15% of the delegates to support Team Stewart at the convention. If we get 15%, then we can qualify to move on to a primary ballot. Now, I understand that there's been a lot of individuals who have committed to other candidates. There's been a lot of candidates who have been in this race for the latter part of a year, and that means that they have delegate support that they've been working on for much longer than I have. So our goal is to find 180 of those delegates to put their support our way and allow me the opportunity to be on the Republican primary ballot in August. And once we get there, I will certainly not be disappointing our party moving forward, because I truly believe that it's going to take a very unique kind of candidate to ride that blue wave this November, and I think that candidate is I.
Erin Stewart, right here in Bridgeport, we have a mayor who is running for governor.
Yes, he is.
Now, you talked about the Citizens Election Program, but Joe Ganim is not able to participate. I'm not going to ask for. Well, I am going to ask for. What is your opinion on that?
Sure. I don't think that when the creators of the Citizens Election Program I don't think they ever anticipated there to be a year that there would be over 25 candidates utilizing it. The Citizens Election Program in and of itself has the ability to bankrupt a state on its own this year when you think about the amount of candidates that are utilizing it. However, it was created to give an opportunity, I'll say, for candidates like myself. I would never have the opportunity to run for this office if I did not have the Citizens Election Program as a tool. Unfortunately, I don't come from money, and I don't have the ability, to reach out to a handful of people to raise a significant amount of dollars, and very quickly, unlike many others. So I think when it was created, it was intended to give opportunity to those who may not have it otherwise and who may be excellent candidates. But I also think that they didn't plan for how many candidates could be utilizing it at the same time.
But I guess what I'm asking specifically is about Mayor Ganim and his past, and how that applies to the fact that he can't, and the fact that he's running and still managing to raise so much money.
Well, not to be surprised. I think we still have our old ways that we are seeing with Mayor Ganem, and that's not to take away from his ability to lead the city. I'm sure he's done, I'm sure he's done a lot of positive for the city of Bridgeport. However, do I think that will translate to the entire state? No. And do I think that he'd be setting a good example for what we should have leading our state? Absolutely not. I'm coming to this with a clean slate and a pure heart, and I think that's exactly what we need to prevail.
So, again, the convention is closing in. We've talked about the reason why you're running. We've talked about the importance of the citizen selection program leading up to the convention. How can folks learn more about your candidacy?
So I have a great website. It's at www.aaron4ct.com. And on there, if you log on, you can read all about my candidacy. You can read about my vision. I have a 10-point vision for the state of Connecticut, and you can also make a donation. We are well on our way to qualifying for those funds, but every donation helps, and every $100 will help get us over the top to reach our goal of that $250,000. So please, aaron4ct.com.
And finally, I mentioned that we would discuss your time and your experience in New Britain. How does that apply to the rest of the state as we've discussed this entire conversation, which is so different county to county?
Yes, it is, and the Connecticut that I know and the Connecticut that I have represented is very different from the Connecticut that many of those listening know. But as I've been traveling around the state and listening to the problems of every resident, we all are having similar problems, and that similar problem is rooted in the fact that the money in our wallets is dwindling, and we keep having to give more and more to a state that keeps taking from us, and we're not seeing any return on the money that we are giving. I have what I like to call perhaps a little bit more worldly view of what is going on in the state of Connecticut, and while our poorest individuals are certainly getting poorer, and that is creating a lot of pressure on local governments to provide a lot more services to those that are in need. I'm a big believer in giving people a hand up, not a handout. We need to make sure that we're focusing on creating an environment in our state that will improve the quality of life for all individuals. And that will be difficult to achieve. But with the right vision and the right mission, I certainly think that we can get there. I believe that I can translate my work that I've done in the city here directly to the state and serve it in capacities and in ways that we've never seen before. It's more than just human services, though. It's about finances as well. When I took over the city of New Britain, I inherited a significant operating deficit, a $30 million operating deficit, and today we have restructured government, 2-3 times. We have instituted many different plans to allow us to better serve our community for less money, and today that deficit, is an $18 million surplus. So I'm looking forward to translating that to the state.
Mayor Stewart, anything you'd like to add?
I would just like to encourage everyone to take a look at my plan. I've put together a 10-point plan, a 10-point vision for the future of the state of Connecticut. There's a lot of great ideas in there, all surrounding around creating jobs and improving the quality of life, growing our economy, streamlining government operations, and fixing the structural deficits that were created by those long-term pension and health care obligations. Visit me online at aaron4ct.com to learn more. Thanks.